Guys, you're welcome to another tutorial on this channel. Thank you for stopping by. In this video, we'll be learning how to make this simple top with cut together sleeves and neck slits. For this tutorial, I'll be working with an Ankara fabric and I use less than 1 yard to make this top. The first thing I will do is to fold a part of it into two to cut out the front piece. Here I have my fabric folded into two and I use my bust circumference divided by 4 plus extra 8 inches to fold this. At the top of the fabric, I will draw a straight line, which is the starting or the shoulder line. Then I will measure the neckline. The width is 3 inches while the depth is 2.5 inches. Then I will connect the points. Next, I will mark half of my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. Now this top will have the sleeve cut together with it. So from that mark, I will determine how long I want my sleeve to be. The sleeve length will be 7 inches plus extra 1 inch hem allowance. I marked 8 inches. But if you want your sleeve longer, go ahead and determine how long you want it. And from that point, I will come down by 1 inch to slope the shoulder. Then connect the point back to the neck width this way. The next thing to do is to measure the sleeve opening. But before then, I will mark my bust line and the length of my top. So from the shoulder, I will come down by 9.5 inches as my bust line and 19 inches as my top length. The remaining inch there will serve as the hem allowance. Now let's create the sleeve opening. My sleeve opening will stop where the bust line is. So from the shoulder slope to the bust line, I have 8.5 inches there. 8 inches is for my sleeve opening and the remaining half inch will serve as sewing allowance. But if you want your sleeve opening wider than that, go ahead and measure how wide you want it. Now let's mark the round measurement. On the bust line, I'll measure my round bust, that's my bust circumference divided by 4. Then I will add extra inches. 1.5 inches is allowance and half inch sewing allowance, making 2 inches. Now your ease allowance depends on how free you want the top on your body, okay? The total measurements I have on the bust line is 11.5 inches. I mark the same thing on the waistline and I will connect the points together. I will reduce the waist measurement by 1 inch. This is because I want the top a little shaped at that area. You don't have to do this, okay? And at the bust line, I will come down by 1.5 inches, then connect the points with a curve back to the bust line. And this is all for the drafting of the front piece. I will go ahead now to cut, and when cutting, I won't cut directly on this shoulder line. I will leave half inch joining allowance. Now that we have the front piece, let's cut the back piece. I have my fabric folded into two again and it is the same width and length with the front piece. For the back piece, the only difference is the neck depth. The neck width is the same thing. So I'll take out the half inch joining allowance, then come down from the straight line by 1 inch. And this is all for the back piece. I will cut it out now. So guys, this is what the back piece looks like. And this is what the front piece looks like. The next thing to do is to create a slit on the front piece. From the neck depth, I'll come down by 4 inches. Then cut it open. This is what your front piece should look like after creating the slit. Now I want my slit a little wide. So here is me marking how I want it. And this is what I have now. The next thing to do is to cut out facing to turn the neckline. This is the piece for the front facing and it is on fold. I'll place the piece on it, trace out the shoulder, the neckline, the slit, and also mark out the shape I want it to have. To stitch, I'll place the facing on the main piece, right side touching, then trace out the neckline this way. I will also turn in the edges of the facing once and stitch it round so that I will have a neat finishing. The piece for the back facing is also on fold. I will cut it out the same way I cut the front. And also stitch it the same way I will be stitching the front facing. This is what the front piece looks like after stitching around the neckline. I also turn in the edges of the facing. The next thing to do is to notch round the neckline so that when I turn the facing to the wrong side, it will lay properly. As you notch, be careful not to cut through your stitch, okay? This is the facing at the wrong side. I will be using hemming gum to hold it down after joining the shoulder. For the back facing, I stitch it the same way I did the front and also turn it to the wrong side. The next thing to do is to join the shoulder. I will place the front piece on the back piece, right side touching, then turn the front facing to wrap the back. Then go over to the sewing machine to stitch with 1/2 inch measurement, and I will stitch the other shoulder the same way. After joining the shoulder, I use hemming gum to hold down the facing, and this is what it looks like now. The next thing to do is to fold in the hem of the sleeve. I'll give it a double fold and run a stitch all the way down. This is the sleeve after folding in the hem. I did the same thing to the second sleeve. The next thing to do is to close the side. I will use 1/2 inch to stitch and stitch the second side the same way. And this is what my top looks like after closing the side. The next thing to do is to stitch the hem. So I will measure my top length, which is 19 inches. Then fold in the hem allowance and go over to the sewing machine to stitch it round. This is what the top looks like after stitching the hem allowance. And with this, we've come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. For this short tutorial, I already made a video on it. You might want to see it, so I'll drop the link in the comment section.